know about these bars and stuff. Like, you be thinking you know everything your child, you know, especially when they're grown. They pay their own bills, they have their own stuff. You know, she's at work, she gets off. You have to be careful of the circles of people around you. Please be careful to the other youth and parents in the community with the energy you keep around you. I always tell my daughters, you don't have friends, keep your circle very small. I never trusted the people she was hanging around, and they kept pulling at her when they hang out and attend all these different places. And you know, it all. I would talk to her and try to encourage her, baby. Like, you know, I'm a homebody. I'm an introvert. You know, so like, Sade tried something. Yeah, you know, like who hasn't tried marijuana in their lifetime? Sade had, you know, talked to me since she's been, of course, you know, 18. She's tried weed, but she doesn't even like weed. So I mean, I could see, you know, if she had like, you know, a little. If there was something that was found, none of this stuff was brought up to me from the get-go. So, like, I could have seen a little weed, but you pulling up talking about meth and shit, like, they got me fucked up. Dragging my daughter's name and her demise, that he was wrong for that one. And, you know, his career has been well known for, you know, defending those types of cases. That's how he is where he is now.
You're talking about Tony Khan.
Yes,
exactly.
he's clout chasing.
So you know, we don't all that fake. You know, the truth will be told. The dark will reveal itself. But
you know, have you taken a moment to send a message to Sade, even like in your own heart and mind?
I talk to my baby every day, all day. She connects to me. We're spiritual light workers. We all are going to leave this earth one day. These are our physical bodies. But you need to be connected with yourself spiritually, because this is not, you gotta just walk by how you live. And that's how we are able to be peaceful, because we know Sade, she lived her best life, and it was taken way too early, and it shouldn't have been taken by a demon. But yes, it should not have been taken by a demon.
What's the first thing you said to her when they read that verdict?
I can't. It's just some Tupacalypse, thug like bitches.
I
ain't playing.
Sheena, we haven't seen Carlos. Did you guys talk to each other after the verdict?
Oh yes.
How is he?
He's been really taking it really bad. So yeah, he's gonna have a safe trip back home. And he'll be back here for the sentencing. But yeah, thank you for asking.
Keep him in y'all prayers.
Yeah, just keep us in your prayers.
One more question.
Context of white supremacy. Gus T. Renegade in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the global system of white supremacy. Today's date, Friday, June 6, 2025. So I have been told. Gus T. still live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Our 9th and final day of coverage of the Sade C. Robinson murder trial. It is all done as I thought it would be yesterday, and even have to say once again, the folks who told Miss Scarborough in advance, it was written in the newspapers, said repeatedly, this trial will last 2 weeks. They were pretty much right on the nose. I thought, you know, it's got to go longer and all the rest. You know, it's a murder trial. They got this high-powered defense team, and certainly, you know, have all this evidence and body parts found all over the place. And they said 2 weeks. It lasted 2 weeks, even a teaspoon under. But they said 2 weeks. It lasted 2 weeks. Hey. Even Miss Scarborough, she called the day specifically this week. She said it should wrap up Friday. I was thinking, that can't be. You know, the defense, they're going to have at least 4 or 5 witnesses. So that'll take like a half a day or so to get through their little witnesses. And then the closing arguments and all that, you know, probably eat up a whole day or so. And then might have a day of, you know, deliberations or so. So I was thinking Monday, Tuesday, we should be done. That was initially. By the time we got to Thursday and those photographs, and then realizing that it wasn't that the defense had 6 witnesses, the defense had 0 witnesses. Max didn't take the stand, and so prosecution rested. The defense immediately rested their case. That fast forward things astronomically. I'm not even sure I've seen or heard of too many trials where the defense does not put on a single witness, like not one. That changed in terms of the timing. Not only did that change things in terms of, we don't have to sit through any defense witnesses, so yeah, we can speed right on along to closing arguments. And then the judge put a time limit on closing arguments. That is atypical. Generally, the attorneys can, take as long as they need to tie everything together, put a bow on their case, so to speak. That was not the case this time around. The white female judge, I think it's Corvello, how you pronounce it. I think they said, hey, she sensed that they had said jurors were nodding off and they're supposed to go 2 weeks and it costs a lot of money and we're not going to drag this thing out. So she limited closing arguments to 45 minutes. Keep it brief. Gave the instructions. And even I thought that was a part of her strategy to, hey, let's wrap this thing up. She sent them to begin deliberations yesterday, Thursday at 4:40 p.m. Central Time. Court has to be over by 5 p.m. So we were thinking, wow, really? Because some folks are saying maybe she'll dismiss them right now, and so then they can just come in first thing in the morning and get started. Oh, no. She dismissed them and gave them 20 minutes. And my thinking was, if this was a black person, given everything that we've seen over yesterday was 8 days of testimony, this dude Leroy might be convicted today in 20 minutes. My other thought was, you have to select I think now they call it presiding juror. They used to call it foreman, but you got all the gender stuff. So you have to select a presiding juror, and that might take a little bit of time. Let's say that takes 5 minutes or so. So now we're down to 15 minutes. Maybe we fight over who's going to sit where. Oh, and you have to walk to the room where you're going to sit at. We have to fight over where we're going to sit at. And, okay, everybody do ballots. Maybe we do a straw poll. That could easily eat up 20 minutes. But when we come in here tomorrow, we already got the presiding juror picked. We already got our seating arrangements and everything else. Maybe we already even did our straw poll to see, what do you all think? Because if we came in here for our 20 minutes on Thursday and we said, what do you think? Count one, everybody, we're in agreement, we all think he's guilty. Oh man, maybe we can fast forward this thing. What you think? The arson? Everybody think he's guilty? You all think, let's see. I told y'all they got the grapefruit mimosas, so let's see. Mutilating the corpse, what y'all think? Oh, we out of here. But the first thing in the morning, you already know grapefruit mimosas. Because yesterday I said grapefruit mimosas at 11. I said, you can already check. You can see what time they open for brunch. They open at 11 o'clock. We're going to be out of here by 10:15. What time did we get the verdict today? 9:20. The maximum amount of time that they spent on this, but this is kind of getting in Emmett Till range. The maximum amount of time that they spent on this verdict. You got 20 minutes yesterday. It just comes down to what time did they get started, not what time did they get to the courthouse. What time did they begin this morning? I saw some records, it said 8:30. That's when they started. If they started at 8:30 today, we got the verdict at 9:20. That would mean they didn't even spend 70 minutes adjudicating all of this, because some of that time you got to fill out the verdict papers, right? And I think it was like 9 pages. So if you vote guilty, well, you have to check this box, do all this. So all that, is time that you're not deliberating. So I mean, really, it was so flagrant. It really may have been when they came in yesterday for that 20 minutes, we are already in unanimous agreement. So when we get in here tomorrow morning, we can move our mimosa reservation up And all we really have to do is come in and get the paperwork filled out, and we're going to be ready to roll. Deuces. And we don't have to come back for 4 years. They say you did your jury duty. You are good now for 4 years. You don't have to do none of this foolishness and come back down, hear about who got chopped up in Milwaukee County this week. Deuces. And that is exactly what happened. And like I think I said yesterday, I was way less like, racism, white supremacy, they might let old Max off. And once they put them pictures on the board, and once the defense didn't present not nary a witness, I said, you got to be outside your mind. You got all these police officers, a whole army of them, to come and say he did it. We know he did it. He burned the car and all this, and FBI experts and phone data and all this. You don't have one witness. How in the world? You're supposed to be convicted in 5 minutes. Like, yep, he did it. Yep. Get on out of here. And general population should be done with all that protective custody and in a pod by a general population, because you are a tough guy. I am tough, and I kills people, and I keep knives and axes because I'm tough, and I beat up people. That's my girlfriend. So I go up and put people in the headlock. I'm tough. General population. That's where the tough guys hang out. Anywho, convicted on all counts, as I said, in very short order. They did not take the lesser charge of reckless homicide, convicted of first-degree intentional homicide, which really should have been first-degree murder. Why not car theft, right? They could have even attached some extra charges in there. Alcohol to a minor. They could have added, alcohol to someone underage. They could have even added some more charges in there, but guilty on all charges. We'll see what the sentence will be on the 15th. This seems like a great time to remind folks, my Jeffrey Dahmer research, there were white politicians in Wisconsin who at that time talked about, hey, we have any more of this Dahmer behavior and you chopping off heads and putting them in the freezer and eating folks up and all that dismemberment, hey, that is going to be an enhanced crime. And you do that sort of stuff, buddy, you should get the death penalty in the Badger State. And then they quieted all that down and didn't do it. If they had enacted all of that then, good old Max might be, probably should be looking at the death penalty for all of this that he did. But he was found guilty. Anywhoodles, it was an exhausting experience. You heard Sheena Scarborough at the beginning. That was her outside the courthouse. She, her attorney, family members, people who are a part of her team and search team and just have been with her through this whole gruesome ordeal for the past year plus now. They did a press conference in front of the courthouse just after the verdict, shared some of their thoughts on what has transpired and, what this means for Sade. And then Ms. Scarborough, she had a few more brief words to say just before they kind of moved out of the way, the crowd kind of to allow her car to get out of the courthouse parking lot. But you heard her talking about, one, being careful about who your child is around, even if they're over 18, just being careful about who they are around. She had said, even before the trial, she had said, man, I, had saw that she's talking about Sade, had been spending time at some of these bars, and man, that is not the way to go. That's what she had been saying, Miss Scarborough. Like, man, stay at home, get your rest. You're in school, and you're doing all these constructive things. Like, you don't need to be, hanging out with these folks in these bars. Like, yeah, let that go. Exactly. Let that go. You aren't even old enough to drink. Let that go. She talked about that again in front of the courthouse, and she had said that was something that was really important. I think that as well. I said, hey, that should be a part of Sade Robinson's legacy and the legacy of this case. Non-white people, victims of white supremacy, we have very different thoughts about so-called dating. what that means if we engage in it, the age that we engage in it, what that whole process looks like in terms of so-called sexual activity and all that. Like, hey, we're in a system of white supremacy, racism, and Sade Robinson did happen. There's been a whole lot of cases just like that. So I have to take special precautions in the system of white supremacy, racism. Even if I'm so-called dating a non-white person, said that a few times through the course of all of this. Maybe that can be a part of her legacy, because that's something that Ms. Scarborough has talked about a bunch before and since the trial concluded. She also talked about the information that came through in the trial in terms of there being drugs in Sade's apartment, in a safe, THC and methamphetamine pills. And I thought, really importantly, in that, her talking about the fact that she was not informed in advance. Now, I certainly know prosecutors, they can't share all the information about their case, even with the victims' relatives and family members at times. I certainly understand that, but I mean, wow. They gave a heads up, sometimes even just the day of trial or minutes before information was going to be shared about, okay, gruesome pictures coming up. If you want to take some space, or if you don't want to be here for all of this, or just so that you can be braced and know that it's coming. If you don't want to see this, maybe you skip today, or maybe you skip the early part of the testimony and then you come in the afternoon. Like, if you can make a notification for that, certainly you can take 5 minutes to just, okay, look at here, Mom. Now, this is going to come up. This might be, upsetting, and we're going to try our best to not shift this whole narrative and make it into some drug addict black person thing, because that's not what this was. But we just want to give you a heads up that this is coming down the pike, and, we're going to deal with it. Don't be worried, and don't let it upset you too much. We got it. That, I think, could have gone a long way, but and apparently that happened a number of times during the trial where, really kind of important bits of information Miss Scarborough was not aware of, didn't know. Said she was kind of finding out, with the rest of us. All this was like, woo, that is a part of the excruciating nature of all of this. Anyway, but her outside the courthouse today, and just reaffirming Sade being about constructive things. She was in school. This was not no drug deal gone bad, which I think I and others had said. That's why I didn't even, really come back up in the trial after it was mentioned previously. Last week even. Didn't even come back up in the trial. Anyway, but that was Miss Robinson sharing some of her thoughts after the verdict today. Yeah, it was just, wow. I guess one thing that I will say, as soon as I heard that they had reached a verdict, I knew he was guilty on everything. About the only question I had was, did they weasel out and do guilty of reckless homicide? Because that would have been a lesser charge, lesser sentencing. That was about the only mystery that I had, but I knew there was no way that they went back and got a unanimous not guilty on anything in 20 minutes, a half hour. Like, you got to be joking. There's no way in, or a mistrial where they went back in, 30 minutes and, he didn't do it and I'm not going to change my mind, and he did do it and I'm not going to change my mind, and we just going to have to say it's a mistrial. I knew that didn't happen either. So there was not a whole lot of drama for me today. I was very, very certain he was going to be convicted once I saw those pictures and once I saw the defense had zero testimony. Let's see. So from there, we go out into the hallway. I guess I can say immediately. So I get to court. Today was probably the one day where there was the no court activity basically at all, because we got the verdict so quickly. So everything was done by 9:30. Literally before 9:30, we were done. We didn't even really. The trial didn't last 2 weeks because it was done so quickly. I don't even think today does not count. Day 9 does not. I mean, we were in court for, even if you count the waiting time, I'm not even sure the gallery was there for an hour. got all, it was a whole lot of folks. In fact, they got all gussied up and had their Sade Robinson memorabilia on, and for Sade and justice for Sade, and got my new pink and what, the verdict? All right, how's the verdict in? I thought it was going to be a long day. I did not think it was. That was the only one. I heard a few folks who said, I got my lunch and I got my snacks and had my tea and everything, and I was going to get a comfortable seat down at the courthouse and everything. I have no idea what trial you have been watching. You certainly do not listen to the cows. Gus T told you you can have those mimosas ready to roll by about 10:30. I said, what did I say yesterday? I said, there is no way the jury should get lunch. No, you talking about packing lunch. What are you talking about? You can go home and eat. We're not going to be at the courthouse for lunch today. That's not fitting to happen. If it had, then I would have come back and reminded you of the demographics of the jury one more time. I don't need to do that now because apparently they got things correct. And incidentally, I cracked up laughing once it was all done. The judge, she told the jury that, hey, it's up to you. If you want to talk to the press, feel free. If you don't want to talk to the press, feel free. Your choice. You have served. Thank you kindly. Be excused. And they, went on out. And then on the news, I saw that 4 of the jurors talked to the news as a group. Now, I didn't have time to listen to the article. I'll talk about that later. But they were talking to the news, and they were talking about the stress of being on a high-profile case like this that's being rebroadcast on court TV and all the rest of it. And they had the black male who was accused of nodding off or not paying attention during the trial. And I said, oh man, are they going to boot the black dude off, make him an alternate juror? But that did not happen. He was a part of the group, unanimous decision, and then gave the, and now I'm going to go listen to the interview to see, what they had to say about serving on this trial and how they came to a decision so quickly on everything. I will say about that as well, the attempted family and friends, people that were on the search team, many of them were very pleased that it was a quick verdict because it's been a year. The trial was delayed 6 months. The savageness of the crime, they still don't have all of her remains. Just for about 1 billion reasons, it has been astronomically stressful. And I mean, to even quantify the level of stress, Sade's father, who was described as being handsome for a dark-skinned black male, but highly melanated, privileged black male, her father, Carlos, they said that he broke a stress ball. And they said these are supposed to be indestructible. And I said he was sitting in front of me. I told you all that it was literally like watching him disintegrate. They would put these pictures up of her, severed limbs and everything. And I mean, you could just literally see the spirit just drain right out of him. You heard Miss Scarborough, she said he has been taking it hard. I heard that from many of Sade's family and relatives because they were talking, her grandfather who was there, I did see him as well. And she said, he's taking it kind of hard. Yes, this would be something. It seemed like many black people throughout Wisconsin were taking this kind of hard, and rightfully so. Her grandfather, talking about Sade's, he was back at the courthouse after the verdict today. I actually talked to him again. I'd seen him at the trial and, said hi to him before, but one of the young ladies who was standing with them, she pointed, she said, hey, Gus there, he came all the way from Seattle to report on this. And her grandfather, who looked like he was taking this rather hard, he looked and said, man, thank you so much. I appreciate it. System of white supremacy, sir. Everyone should have been here covering what happened to your granddaughter, the disgraceful act of racism, that it wasn't so much. That's one thing that I can say that I'm not sure I would have appreciated if I had not come here. Maxwell Anderson was not ignorant about white supremacy racism. I heard black people, and I think they even say this on the very local documentary that's WISN, that's a local TV station. They did like an hour-long documentary with on Sade Robinson's case. Miss Scarborough's in it, and lots of information. But they talk about how the car was dumped, or excuse me, burned and dumped, the arson charge, in North Milwaukee, highly super segregated region where they warehouse all the niggers. That's where the car was burned, in an abandoned lot. I go dump it there because who cares about the niggers? There's this crackhead, drug deal gone bad, whatever. Who cares? That's what his thinking is, because Max lives on the other side of town where the white people live. And even, as I said, Cudahy, where Warnermont Park is, they got maps showing for decades, half century. We don't allow no niggers in Cudahy. That's close to where Max lives. That's what I mean about the geography and where he dumped the remains. That's up in the Negro part. Like, Max had to understand, oh, that's where the Negroes live. That'd be a great spot to dump the car. They won't be thinking about me at all. They'll blame it on Leroy. Talk about toxic black masculinity. I'm so smart. And that's what he was thinking. That's what he was thinking. I'm going to go dump this all where the niggers, and yeah, we'll blame it on them. Yeah, that's what it was. And see, he was going to be slick. He was going to send this text message to Sade the next morning while she's at work. Yeah, they won't be thinking it's me. I'm a smart, nice white man. See, I'm a well-meaning white man. I hang out with black people. I don't have no problem with black people. They see me kicking it with black people in public all the time. But never, just like old Jeff Dahmer, never suspect. We do now, Max. We do now. General population. Say it again. General population. Any hoodles, if you have thoughts to share what transpired with the trial, and if you kept up with it, if you spoke with your offspring about what transpired, let us know. The number is 720-716-7300, the code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. But I can't say enough. Geography was such an important component of this trial, and specifically the geography of white supremacy. Racism was a massively important component of this trial. Max is not able to even think about all of this and the planning and how he's going to execute this if he does not understand what racism, white supremacy is, how it works, and the fact that he is a white dude. He's using that to his advantage as well. Hey, I'm white. They're not going to be thinking I went out, killed nobody. That's how he goes and takes city bus, man. I just go hop on the city bus, going back to my place, back away on the south side of Milwaukee, away from the coloreds. And, I'm a white man. I'm a white man in a predominantly black city. Please. Let's see. I got so many sound clips. Like I said, I went out in the hall and there was so many people. Obviously, when you have verdicts in a trial, especially in a more well-known trial, high profile, generally you'll have a lot more spectators show up on verdict day. What's going to happen, regardless of if they've been following online, like, hey, we can just fast forward and get right to the end. So today was no exception. It was a lot more people there today than there had been at any other point. I do want to make sure that I say for the record, O.M. Jesus. This lame race soldier dude, Max Anderson, no count, who should have been in greater confinement a long time ago. This dude, he had his white dad, white stepmom, sister with him, or front row, supporting him throughout the last 2 weeks. We get to verdict day. I do even want to rewind. They did bail, and I mentioned it previous archives, the day when they started putting up some of those body parts and being real specific about the fact that This was Max. The DNA matched on his sweatshirt and putting up photos. That day, they left early. They were not present in court today. Now, I did hear someone say that they thought they may have seen them downstairs or close to the premises, but they were not in the courtroom. They have a whole bench reserved for the family of the victim and the family of the defendant. The whole first two rows on each side of the courtroom. If you remember O.J. Simpson, same type of setup. They did that here. At first, the entire side for Max Anderson was vacant, but there were so many spectators and supporters on the side for Sade Robinson that they started to spill over and take over the side for Max Anderson as well. And in fact, I had seen this because it had been like that throughout the trial. Ms. Scarborough had told me that it was probably going to be like that before the trial started. When I verified that that was true, I told her if it continues, I'm going to move and sit on his side and just sit behind the parents so I can, be nosy, see what they're talking about and research. Just the trial ended so quickly, I didn't get a chance to switch sides to go do that. But I told her that I was going to do that just so that I could snoop and be nosy. But Miss Scarborough hooked me up with a great seat. So I was able to sit with the family. That was especially helpful today because there were so many spectators and jostling for a seat and everything. I did not have to do that because I was already on the second row. But yeah, his parents did not show up in the courtroom. I said, man, no. Stand by your work. This is the spawn you raised. This is your child. You spent all this money to go get Anthony Cotton, defense attorney, and you're going to stand out here every day. He didn't do all this. Max is a good boy. He's a spiritual white man. He's a godly white man with a criminal record, but he didn't do no chopping and cutting. Max ain't do all that. Okay. Stand by your work. Don't chicken out on the last day. Well, no, I ain't going to come in on the regular list. Now, unless he say, well, they caught me in trial. I thought they were going to deliver. They didn't even take 10 minutes to think that I tried to get my coffee and they didn't came to. I don't think that was the case, though. I think they just chickened out. Stand by your work. Everybody, that's why I said Chloe Wright, none of them associated with Max Anderson. You knew what this dude was about for a long time. Don't come up being bashful and ashamed. I want to dissociate myself, like President Obama with Reverend Wright. Ooh, I denounce, I renounce. I don't have nothing to do with Reverend Wright or Max Anderson. Like, come on. You've been chilling and drinking with Max all this time. You might as well go to get on the visiting list. Put a little bit on this commissary. Let's see. I'll play some of the audio. I have so many audio segments just from talking to people that were outside the trial. I guess that's the whole reason, right, to come. One massive reason to come to Milwaukee, to be able to talk directly to people who were here, black people who were here, white people who were here, all of it. I'll include some of the audio segments just so people can kind of get a feel of what did it sound like at the courthouse. They certainly have lots of audio and such available online. And detailing, what happened and what's going to happen with the sentencing and all the rest of it. But man, the commentary from outside, it was from so many people. The first one I'll play, this is from a black mom who should be a guest on the program before. She's been a supporter of Miss Scarborough for quite some time, one of the people that's been on her team throughout. In fact, she was doing protests. I was trying to first interview her when she was doing protests outside the courthouse last week, but I kept saying she was doing protests. I would see them during lunch, and I would, just as we were about to go back in the courthouse for testimony to resume, I would see them protest and be like, oh man, I need to go talk to them, but I don't have time because I didn't want to miss the testimony. So we'll have to talk about that with her at a later date. But she was one of the first people who was right outside the courthouse that I bumped into as soon as the verdict came down. She is a black mother, which is a big part of what we will discuss when we get her on the program. But I was really looking forward to talking to black moms at that time, because I thought this case was so important. And I've said, like, what do you tell if you have a daughter who's Sade's age, which there were young ladies in the courthouse who were 19, 20, right in the same age as Sade. What do you say to them in terms of the safety, any of it, really, like dating, any of it? What are you supposed to say to them? Like, I wanted to see what they said. I even asked some of you all, if we have counter-racist parents, how have you explained all of this to your attempted offspring? I think you should definitely talk about this case. There are many others that I've mentioned before, and some of those cases where people online are lying to people, where they are pretending to be someone who's school age, and it's someone who Maxwell Anderson's age 30, could be older, going out trying to do some pedophilia or whatever the case may be, terrorizing children. I said, talk to your offspring. Talk to them about this case anytime where they're feeling some type of way. Man, got to have all these rules, social media, and how we use TikTok, how I use my phone, or if you don't want to allow me to have a phone. Any of that, if they're having any of those sort of comments, hey, let's look at this Maxwell Anderson case. We don't necessarily have the apps and being online per se in that case, but man, the bar element, the underage drinking, all of that is there. And even the phone element is there, because there were so many text messages. We just sat in court and watched all of those images of text messages between these two. That's why, like, no, we're not doing all that smartphone and playing on all of that. Like, well, let's wait as long as possible. Sade was 19, but still, let's wait as long as possible before we get to any of that on the phone and all that. And so you can grasp, we are in a really dangerous environment. Like, I keep saying that. I don't think Miss Scarborough said that. I don't think young Sade, I don't think she grasped the danger that she was in. And I think we as non-white people, that is so frequently the case, where we don't grasp, whoa, we are in a dangerous predicament, and or we don't grasp until it is too late. And that happens loads. Let's see. The just being exhausted from all of this, I cannot stress enough. Going and sitting in the courthouse and hearing all of this really excruciating testimony, man, like, it has been, I can't even say enough, exhausting. They had the audacity to talk about Miss Scarborough. I mentioned it yesterday, where some people online were saying, oh man, that's discourteous. You know, she had nodded off during the closing argument. They had jurors that they accused of nodding off during the trial. Like, and that's why I said I wanted to hear what they had to say about, because they talked to four of them about being on this jury and how stressful it was, because, man, I cannot imagine in any way, shape, form the amount you watch all those pictures, all those images, hacked limbs and body parts and all the rest of it, and thinking about that happened to a 19-year-old, especially if you got children, which I'm sure some of those jurors did. And then you got to look at all these limbs and go hear from the people who found them and how traumatized they were about all of that. And then you got to go home and supposed to get a good night's rest or chill, or, you know, and you're not even supposed to be talking about this either. So I guess they can now, but for the last 2 weeks, you're not even supposed to be talking about this or social media or nothing else. You just got to go and shh. I suspect lots of folks, like, man, I've heard journalists, Mr. Chris Ramirez, he writes for the Journal Sentinel. He interviewed me today. I did a few interviews. He said it has been exhausting. I mentioned that yesterday, and he said it again today. And he even appreciated the fact that the trial did, or the deliberations didn't take all day, so that, hey, now we can move on, write whatever report or do, story, whatever they're going to do about all of this, get that done, weekend, refresh, and then move on to something else that is hopefully way less gruesome. But yeah, the exhaustion of all of this, I was exhausted. Literally, now, trial, I told you the verdict came in a little bit before 9:30. We were outside the courtroom by 9:30. They had lots of press in the hallways, and they were waiting, trying to get interviews with, or they were just doing the same thing I did, interview some of the people that were in the courtroom to see what they thought, speak with the family members. The family, they went to their own separate room for the victims to just kind of decompress and pray, everything else, for their own time, for a little while. And then while the press was in the hallway, this went on for maybe an hour. So there were lots of interviews in the hallway, talking to the prosecution, talking to the attorney. I think the prosecution, they did a press conference talking about, all the evidence to get the trial and all that. Big media affair, at least locally. And then we went outside. Ms. Scarborough has a press conference with her personal attorney, who was not the prosecuting attorney in this case. Big press conference. They take a few questions from some of the local media. I got that audio set that did work. I got that after the big press conference with Ms. Scarborough and her personal attorney. Then I was able to go and get the audio where she answered just a few questions for reporters as she was trying to get into her vehicle to exit the premises. But it was exhausting. Miss Taquanda, Black mommy and Milwaukee resident, she had a number of things to share about the verdict and about even what does she say about this case to her black daughters. Black female victim of racism, Miss Taquanda. You want to give me your name?
Taquanda.
Okay. And you live Milwaukee resident?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And you've been, were you on the search team? Or no?
I wasn't. I had my ankle was broke, and I couldn't. But I am the person that Dania Decorative Designs that did the setup at the park. So.
Okay. And you were out protesting during the trial as well?
Yes, that was me.
Right on. Okay. And tell us what you just said about healing.
I said that, although we got justice for Sade today, the healing is just starting to begin. So this still is going to be a long road for her. Of course they say the 7 stages. She probably still is just on the first stage. So, and I'm a mother that lost a kid, so I know.
She'll be a guest on our program soon to talk about what happened with her specifically and racism in Milwaukee, lots of it. Were you, with this case specifically, were you nervous about the verdict at all, or did you think he was going to be convicted?
You know what? I wasn't nervous about the verdict at all. Even when I started hearing the evidence, I carefully read, what it takes to convict without specific weapons and stuff like that. And when I seen the evidence presented, I knew that we have like-minded people like myself that would definitely convict him. We had a lot of people say we didn't have enough evidence. We had a lot of evidence. There was a lot of evidence.
Surprised about the time of the verdict? I don't even think they were deliberating for an hour.
Not surprised, but I guesstimated it would be a little longer just because if, me, myself, if that was me, I would have probably asked for pictures and stuff just to make sure that the other side didn't try to say, oh, they didn't even try to look for the evidence or try to go over this and that. So, yeah, but I think it was a pretty good time. They sat in the same courtroom that we did, so they heard everything. They seen everything already. So they may not need to go back and look at certain pictures or go to certain, articles to see what the evidence was, because they've seen it already.
That's logical.
One more, because she's going to be a guest on the program, so we'll get all the details. But well, you already told us you're a parent. Do you have any daughters?
I do. I have a 31 and a 29-year-old.
Have you spoken with your daughters about this case and dating as a black female?
Oh yes, I definitely have. They're pretty much like me. They screen thoroughly, but they do have a big heart like myself. So we did discuss like things to watch and make sure. One thing I did do is make sure that I have their locations now because I didn't. So that taught me a lot to get. I got all my kids' locations now, so that taught me a lot. And you know, sometimes, you know, growing up, especially in our community, when they get a certain age, they get private and. You know, we kind of let them be a little bit because we don't want them to think we're overbearing. But now it is more than, you know, because of what our community is going through, it's more than enough to be in your kids' business about everything. So, yeah. They don't like it, but...
Hey. Don't like going to the dentist, but that's needed too.
Right, exactly. So, yeah. But, yeah.
Life 360, that's one thing I learned from the trial. Life 360, Life 360, Life 360.
Yeah. And just for one other thing I learned from the trial is, I mean, you better not even pick your nose outside because there's cameras everywhere. and it makes me, because, you know, with all the crime that we have going on, you know, I used to just be like, I'm ready to move. But to me, that made me more comfort that we have a lot of surveillance all over the place. So I feel a little bit more safe.
That's interesting.
You know. Yeah.
Okay. More to come. One of our residents in Milwaukee. Give us your name one more time.
Taquanda.
Coming to the cows, talking more about her experience. Racism in Milwaukee, so many layers.
Context of white supremacy. Audio was still being a little wacky, but it did play the whole way through, so I won't grouse too much, especially because I have lots of audio still remaining. Taquanda, victim of white supremacy, black female, Milwaukee resident, black mommy. That the final portion of her response, where Life 360, I can say that again, man, that was so critical for this case. And even from the very beginning, they had one of Sade's friends testify, and it was so critical. This friend, like I said, this trial was supposed to happen in December, and it got delayed a year. White supremacy, racism right there. Or it got delayed 6 months, excuse me. It got delayed 6 months. But you can imagine, for anybody, your memory deteriorates over time. So regardless of the situation, especially when it comes to exact details, what shirt did you have on? What color socks? What pair of shoes? That type of a thing. Exactly what sentence did you say? Exactly what sentence did they say? Those sorts of details, after a year, you had a whole, or exact date that you did such and such or said such and such, like, oh my goodness, or exact address. You have a whole lot of people who, I don't remember. I don't recall. And it's not that they're trying to be slick or lie, at least some of them. Some of them really, after a year, no, I really don't remember what I said last year, or, you know, what I was wearing, or what date this had. Even sometimes for really important things, no, I don't remember. And that's everybody. Your memory deteriorates with time. So that taking notes, document, very important, really. And that's what Life 360 is. It's just electronic documentation of where are you, the location of your phone. But it ended up being so important, one of Sade's friends, because they shared that Life 360 information, they had exact pinpoint data of where was her phone for that entire evening. And because she had that information, she was able to report and share it with the police immediately. Like, that was so crucial that they used that information throughout the trial, even though that friend, black female, she couldn't even remember. She had forgotten some of the exact, details. And again, everybody did. You had, seasoned officers and detectives who, same thing. They had forgot like exact, precise details. Like, do you know the exact date? Like, it's been a year. No, I don't remember. Or let me get my notes to go back and, oh, okay, it was on, okay, that type of thing. But I mean, it's been over a year at this point, really. Supposed to remember everything precisely forever? But Life 360, that will remember and record exactly where you were, how fast you were traveling, all that information. Now, again, hopefully this won't be necessary. If there is some sort of criminal activity involved, boop, super exact. When, in fact, even I'm thinking, if you are someone and you work a job and you get accused of speeding while you're at work, if you have your Life 360 information, that could be evidence that you could use to refute, because it's so sophisticated. If you travel any place, it tracks the route, time that you traveled and arrived, and your average rate of speed. So you could use that information to contest, like you saying that I'm some speeding, crack snorting nigger in a company car. Like, no, this is the average speed I was going according to Life 360 data, and this is not something that I made up or whatever. Like, this is respected information presented in court of law. Probably got some of the white people there that got Life 360 on their phone. But the Life 360 data, especially for children, I would say that should be like mandatory. If they're going to have a phone, Life 3, and children, even if they're like 20-year-old children, 30-year-old children, Life 360. And then she talked about those cameras. Now, that one I even had to pause, because I normally am in the, what they did, George Orwell, 1984, and, oh man, we're going to have security surveillance everywhere and keeping watch on us, tell us what to do and boss us and all that. But I mean, man, cameras were invaluable. They said that on the news this evening, like if this case had happened 20, 30 years ago, it might have just remained an unsolved mystery cold case in Milwaukee, because you would be missing so much without the cameras. Without those cameras, you don't see him walking away from the fire of the car being on fire. Like, you don't see that. You don't see him getting on the bus, crystal clear identification. You don't see him getting off the bus and walking back to his house. Like, it's so much that you would not have without even all that, with them being at the bar and all that, to say, hey, Max Anderson was the last person seen alive with her. You wouldn't have any of that. You wouldn't have, and even after they leave the bar, the video camera footage to show them literally walking to the car together, and then they travel in the car to their residence. Like 20, 30 years ago, you don't have all that maybe. Without all that, maybe he did it, maybe he didn't, but you probably don't have enough. And 20 years ago, we certainly wouldn't have had no iPhones, so he wouldn't have had no camera phone to take no pictures. That, whatever. Now, he still could have took the pictures, but they wouldn't have been digital pictures. And it certainly wouldn't have been something where, I took my pictures, I deleted them, but we can go to the fancy white experts at the criminal lab and they can extract these deleted images and put them back for us. Easily, if this had happened 20 years ago. Man. And to combine all that system of white supremacy racism, man. Audio segment number 3. This young black male had been at the courthouse previously, and we had chatted it up, and then I saw him today, and he even was so humble. I asked to speak with him, and he said very respectfully, I'm more than happy to talk to you, but I want to make sure that Miss Scarborough and the family, that they get all the attention and interviews, everybody talk to them. So once everybody's spoken with them, I would be happy to chat with you, and I will come and track you down. And he was actually on the search team. That's why he had been coming to court the whole way through and supporting Miss Scarborough. But this is Deshad Crutchfield giving some of his thoughts right after the verdict. We were standing right outside the courthouse after Ms. Scarborough had done her press conference and such.
Outside the Milwaukee County Courthouse just after the conviction, all counts of Maxwell Anderson in the murder and dismemberment of Sade Robinson. We are speaking with
Dashad Critchfield, Dashod Crutchfield.
Spectacular. Are you a Milwaukee resident?
Yes, sir.
Were you on the search team for Miss Robinson?
Yes.
Wow. Can you tell us about your involvement on the team?
It was one of those things that, well, actually prior to that, I was on a task force where I helped look for missing people, domestic violence and stuff like that. So when it came to my attention, I went out and joined forces with the family and started searching.
Were you on any of the groups that actually found remains?
No. And to be honest, I'm kind of glad that I wasn't actually around at that time, because that I couldn't just stomach that. I couldn't do it.
Understandable. Have you been coming out to court every day to keep up with the trial?
No, I work 2 jobs, so I come when I can. So today would have been one of the days I would have got fired because I wouldn't have called in. I would just came here and I would literally work down the street.
Oh, so. Okay. Right on. Were you surprised about how fast the verdict came in?
Yeah, I most definitely was surprised. I kind of thought it was like, a hung, because it just came back so fast. But I mean, it shows you how God works, and we can't control what God wants, so it's a win for us. So,
Did you at any point think maybe he didn't do it, maybe it was somebody else? Were you certain this was the guy who did this?
Honestly, I didn't believe like he didn't do it. I knew he did it, but I believed it was somebody else that was with him. So,
oh wow,
yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. It's, I don't know, it just don't seem right to me. Like, I don't know.
What have you seen that makes you think somebody helped him do all this?
Just from the beginning, like just certain stuff that was mentioned, and not from like people on the streets, like just from like law enforcement, like where we will ask them a question and they'll try to throw us a answer to try to brush us away, but it's just like how they worded and the way they spoke. So I kind of took that from that, and it's really, I'm really not the only person that think that. Like, there's been a few people that came to me and said the same thing. So, great minds think alike. So, something going on. So, but I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just glad that 4 counts is guilty. I was kind of nervous there for a little minute because it came back super fast, but we did it. Now we just got sentencing. That's it.
Okay. August 15th, sentencing will be about 2 months from now. We'll be looking for it. Do you think racism was a factor in why Sade Robinson was killed?
To be honest, we got so many like speculations. Like, we really won't know. Like, we really won't know what really happened when they was by themselves. I don't think racism was involved. I think he's just sick and demonic, and he had that demon urge, and he just chose an innocent, sweet victim and thought he was gonna get away with it, but now he's gonna spend the rest of his life hugged up in a cell with somebody new. So, yeah.
I love it. Tell us your name again real quick, sir.
Dashad Critchfield.
Thank you so much for speaking with us, sharing a bit of your time, and then your service too. I didn't even know you had been doing the work previously with the task force looking for missing and murdered black females. That is man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Man, thank you.
Thank you,
man. Thank you.
Privileged black male Dashad Crutchfield, who between 2 jobs in Milwaukee has been coming up to the Milwaukee County Courthouse to support Ms. Scarborough, and Sade Robinson was on the search team looking for Sade Robinson in between 2 jobs in Milwaukee, and said, I would have risked getting fired to come up here for the verdict. Today, killer, now convicted killer of Sade Robinson, Mr. Crutchfield. And then even on his spare time, I'm out part of the search team since they don't have that task force. Out on the search team looking for missing and murdered black females in the area. Like, man, quality dude, Mr. Crutchfield. Met a lot of quality black people in this time who were involved with the Sade Robinson case in the time that I've been here. I thought him saying what he said about someone else being involved, I've heard that from so many people, not even necessarily that they think someone else killed her, although it may be people who think, that multiple people were involved in actually killing Sade, although there may be people who do think that, but I have heard a number, like many people, they think he had help in terms of the cleanup aspect, either cleaning up the house or whatever. They even got video of the parents going in and all that, so relatives may be in consideration for that. But I know there's some, what do they call it, an accomplice after the fact type of a thing. They think that might, I've heard many folks who think that that may have occurred with this case. Could be. We had, speaking of privileged black males, and Mr. Crutchfield, he was almost together with Mr. Von Mays, and it's kind of wild because I had been hoping to speak with Mr. Mays previously. I saw that he was doing work related to racism in Milwaukee, and then he pops up at the trial today, and I think he might have been there previously. I have to double check. He might have been there previously, although he's kind of a bigger dude, so he kind of stands out. It seems like I would have recognized him, at least having seen him before. I would have recognized, like, oh, that's Vaughn. He's been, or that's that big dude that's been here before, and I didn't get that. So maybe I'll double check next time I speak to him to see if he'd been at the trial before. But either way, he had really important information to share, and he did the same thing. He went, spoke, shared with the family, and then came and shared with other journalists in terms of what he found. Importantly, he's talking about the pictures of the amputated limbs that were shown in court this week. Now, I don't think he's talking about the pictures of the body being on the couch that was shown yesterday, which I thought that you are going to prison, buddy. But I think he's talking about the pictures of the amputated, like, arm, leg. Apparently, the local C.O.W.S. affiliate, they posted photographs of these images from court, but they did not blur the images of the body parts, right? So like other local news outlets, when they've shown pictures of some of this more graphic content, even those images from yesterday on the sofa, they have blurred like the nude breast, and you can't see her body. I don't think they showed the buttocks image, but they blurred it when I've seen these images so that you can't see all the gruesome detail, just so that like, oh man, this is what they showed in court, and it was but apparently this local CBS outlet, they didn't blur, they just showed the unedited image. And of course, same thing like what happened with Trayvon Martin. I suspect race soldiers, oh, we love it, and they start putting all this stuff on the what they call the dark web and other sites where they let delectable Negro human consumption and homoeroticism in U.S. slave culture. Like I said, this same thing happened with Trayvon Martin after the murder trial, where they showed the gruesome pictures of where he was shot and how he died. Same thing. People started photoshopping those images and trafficking in them online. White culture. So Mr. Von Mays, privileged black male activist and the victim of white supremacy in the Milwaukee area, was gracious enough to talk to us about these images that he found on the local CBS affiliate.
I guess just name real quick. You're a Milwaukee resident?
Yeah, so Von Mays, I'm an activist here. Run a lot of programs and initiatives across the city. We do some national stuff as well. But yeah.
I had been seeking out Mr. Mays in advance, and man, everything is connected. So can you tell us about exactly what you saw with regards to the photos?
So it was sent to me. I actually got a call yesterday. All right, bro. Love, bro. I'm gonna have to stop in on y'all, man. I don't smoke and all that, but my girl, y'all got edibles? Okay. Yeah, so I got a call yesterday from one of my followers, and they were saying like those pictures are being posted on one of the news websites, and I was like, and I went right away to their Facebook page, and I went to the website, and I'm like, well, I don't see it, and they sent me the links, and sure enough, there were 2 sets of 16 photos, and at least 1 or 2 of each set was a photo of her body parts. And I'm like, I know a lot of the media, I've worked with a lot of them, and I'm like, I know they don't post this. Like, this is not a typical thing for them to do, so I don't understand why they would do that. Because a while back, the lawyer spoke on it. There was when one of the body parts was found in like Illinois or something like that. We got on that guy's tail because why are you the other woman is calling me. Why did they show her body parts and put it on the media like that? So I know it's not a typical thing for them to do that, and I didn't understand why. So I made a post for the management to reach out to me. One of the anchors that I've known for a number of years, she sent me an email, and I'm like, I'm not fucking emailing y'all. Like, somebody should call me about this. And so I called their lawyer and contacted Sheena, the mom, and let them know what was going on, and let them know they should probably take action, because now that stuff is beyond the website. It's going around nationally in these underground groups, and they should probably sue them.
For clarity, were these the pictures that they showed in court yesterday from the house, or were these the...
So these were exhibit photos.
Okay.
And I know, they're not allowed. Well, they've been streaming, but even in the stream, when it shows something like that, they don't show that. They pan away, or they, are recording the person that's talking, and they're not showing those photos live. But someone at this station chose to publish those photos publicly. And so that is, I know there's something, I don't know if it's law or policy or something where they're not supposed to do that. So yeah, there's definitely some concern there.
Okay. Have you checked to see if the images are still on the website? Or?
I checked earlier today when we were up in upstairs, and they're all the photos are gone now. But to be honest, it's too late. The damage is done, especially with it in these other groups. It's online now, so they'll have to do some type of junction or something to get those scrubbed, but the family shouldn't have to go through that, and who knows, one day, they may be just online and see somebody, posting this stuff, and they shouldn't have to deal with that.
Amen.
So,
man, thank you for sharing this with the family and letting them know. I want to make sure I get on the record. He made sure to make me pause in speaking with me so that he could share with the family first. Principled Mr. Mays. Like, wow, what a stand-up dude.
Yes,
Thank you so much for sharing some of your time with us, man.
Yes, sir.
Context of white supremacy, live in Milwaukee. I guess that would be another one in terms of reasons to come to Milwaukee, as opposed to you could watch the trial on television and, learn, seeing the verdict, all that. Talking to some of these people directly, that would be an upgrade. And then I am not sure how many outlets are going to talk about those images being published on the local CBS. We'll have to see. Like, is that something CNN, Democracy Now, other outlets, even how many other local outlets are going to talk about that in terms of those images being published? I know Ms. Scarborough, she brought that up at the press conference this evening, but at put it this way, the news that I've been watching this evening, I haven't seen that discussed yet. That's why always constructive for local. I would say, now I don't know who was responsible for publishing that image specifically. I know anything for a news organization, they have editors, and people who make decisions. So it's not just someone goes out and takes a photograph and plunk, it goes on the website. They have editors and sometimes multiple people who review and look at the page and, you think this is insulting? Is this accurate? All that. So multiple people looked at this and nobody thought, whoa, should we publish an amputated leg? Yeah, why not? Like, come on. Do you do that when it's a white crime victim? Show all the gruesome graphic images of their body, traumatize their family members, relatives in that manner? And delectable Negro, feeding white people who let him. We already talked about that. Who is the true crime? That's why I said, I gotta take the Dahmer tour. Now, court is over, so I got even more free time. Gotta take the Dahmer tour. Where is Sade's head? Gotta take the Dahmer tour. Who traffics in images like that? Like, ooh, look at that. He chopped off arm. Ooh, I'm gonna get that. I got saved that. I got screenshot. I'm gonna share that. Who does that? Usual suspects. I gotta take that Dahmer tour. Say they go by where the Ambrosia factory used to be at. See. Next, there was a non-white, non-black female as well. Now, she was being interviewed by one of the local outlets. And I said, I'll speak to her too, because I thought it was important to talk to some of the non-black people who were here just to document their presence, and even if they're white people, to interrogate. So this is Maya Luna. You'll hear me ask about her racial classification within the segment, but this is, we're still in the courthouse. This is just, 20 minutes after the verdict. I suspect it wasn't even 10 a.m. Native of Milwaukee. She gives quite a bit of her thoughts on the Sade Robinson murder and now the conviction for her white killer.
Can I get your name?
Naya Luna.
Can you say it one more time, please?
Naya Luna.
Naya Luna? Am I saying it correctly?
Yeah, Naya Luna.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. What brought you to the verdict today?
I've just been watching the case online, on the live streams, and I wanted to just come in person for the verdict. I don't know, I was a little nervous that maybe one juror would, find him not guilty, because there's always that chance, but kept my faith, and today, luckily, they found him guilty on all counts. And so although it's like happy news, it's still a fucked up situation. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's very emotional because although I didn't know her or her family, it's like I can only imagine what they're going through. And just to be in the same room and feel that energy is like super powerful. And yeah, it's a really emotional day, but I'm very glad that it turned out the way it did because, in my opinion, he should be executed or at least suffer, and so he's going to get a little bit of suffering, I hope, a lot, in jail, a lot, I hope, because what he did was horrible.
Are you a Milwaukee resident?
Yes.
Okay. You said you were a little bit nervous that he might not be...
Yeah, because you never know, there's been cases like this that it doesn't turn out the way we want it to. So I was a little nervous that it could turn out that way. Yeah. How long have you been
in Milwaukee?
Born and raised.
Wow. Have you been to Warner Park?
I don't think so. Okay. I don't know. I don't remember that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think racism was a factor in the trial in any way?
Definitely. I feel like with Dahmer, how he predominantly went towards black men, specifically because he knew they're not going to be searched for. So I feel like in this case, when his ex-girlfriend testified, it's why didn't he kill her? She was white, It's he thought he could get away with this, and he kind of almost did. And it's unfortunate that he had to go after anyone, but specifically a black girl who he thought no one's gonna look for, you know, covered up all his tracks, but luckily they caught him. But yeah, I do think that racism had a role in this for sure.
Wow.
Because, and then they found blood in other parts of his house. It's like, whose blood is that? You feel me? So it's like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's other black girls missing, other brown girls missing. He could have went for white girls too, but it's just like, I don't know. I don't know.
That's a good point about the blood too. Like, really good point. Are you a white woman?
I'm Latina.
Okay.
I look ambiguous. I can see it.
Right on. Say your name for me again.
Naya Luna.
Naya Luna.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate the perspective.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I wish I had taken a photo so that you all could judge the ambiguity, right? I wish I had taken a photo. Difficult to even said don't rely. Wish I had taken a photo. Then you could see for yourself. Latina is not a racial classification. Had so much on my mind and the fatigue and all. Man, Latina, because they have white Latinas. If I had not been in such a, riled up state with everything that had gone on and all the rest of it. Pause. Latina is not a racial classification. Are you accepted as white? And let's see. But she did have a little bit of, what do they say, a taint of the tar brush, a teaspoon, the name also. But I wish I had taken a photograph so that we could look. What do you all think? Accepted as white? Yay, nay. Anyway, I did think that was a important point as well about Chloe Wright. That is the white girlfriend who testified yesterday, Secret Beach and all that. I think she was white. They didn't ask her a racial classification. She didn't look ambiguous, though. He didn't kill her. They dated for almost 2 years. She said he was not violent. He was emotionally abusive, but he was not physically abusive. He didn't kill her. He could have killed some white people before, but she said this time, hey, he went after a black person and he dumped her body in the colored part of town, which is way far away from where he lives. Or excuse me, he burned her car in the colored part of town, which is way far away from where he lives. He dumped the body in the waters at Warnemont Park and just let Lake Michigan, carry it all up the coastline there going south. That's close to where he lived. Black people, generally don't get to hang out Warnemont Park, South Milwaukee County. Anyway, he doesn't kill the white woman. Anyway, it has been an exhausting, and I mean exhausting experience when everything was over. In fact, I spoke with Naya Luna. We spoke in the courthouse in the hallway. Came out, heard Miss Scarborough's press conference, and talked to some other people, all that. Even did a few interviews myself. I just sat on the courthouse steps. Naya Luna comes over. We share a little bit more information about the case. She gives me some details about Milwaukee. Says, man, you can't just be thinking Milwaukee is all about chopping up people and Jeff Dahmer. And saying, well, there's, other than beer and cheese, that does seem to be the bulk of Milwaukee. Cream City, as they say. But she said, you got to go and at least try and do some. Oh, there they go again. First lead story, conviction of Sade Robinson's killer. Anyway, they said you got to do some cool things, something non-dismemberment related before you depart. So Naya Luna shared a number of vegan spots that are throughout the city and things happening now that it's getting close to a summer official in Wisconsin. So maybe last few days be able to go out and see some other other than the courthouse area of Milwaukee as my time here winds down. But man, oh, see, now they're showing the images again, but they're blurred. They showed some of the images that were from yesterday, but they're blurred. That's the way that I'm accustomed to seeing them, if they're going to be posted at all, blurred, and then they take them down really quick. They don't leave them up for 5 hours or anything of that nature. But let's see if they say anything about CBS. I'll let you know. Anyway, if folks have any thoughts, conviction, if folks even heard about this, like I said, I get the impression that most of the commentary is about the Diddy trial, not, what Sade Robinson and, she did whatever, and man, we're going to pay our respects. Most of it is that count the freak offs and all of that's what it is. A lot of the commentary that I say, even mainstream media, that's what a lot of the focus that I see. I think it was a young lady I was speaking to today. Once everything was over and we were outside the courthouse, that's what they were saying. Like, oh man, why isn't CNN here? Oh man, why isn't the national NBC here? Oh man, why aren't all the other national outlets? Why aren't they here? They just had that big Netflix special, all those hours, that people, what did they say, hundreds of millions of hours watched, and might even be billion by now, who knows? But all those people sat down and watched that Netflix special, Milwaukee's favorite son, and now you got the same thing happen in the same fashion in the same city, and not a peep. We don't have nothing to say. Well, Nah. Come on. I thought that was a great that, and I told her that right there is exactly why I came all this way from Seattle to come over here to cover this trial and get all the details in person, because it did not get the correct amount of attention. If Sade had been a white person, oh man, it would have been cameras and press around the block at the courthouse today, probably throughout this entire week. Anyway, let's see. Irie should be with us. If you have commentary to share, proceed.
Yes, I'm here. I found myself squabbling a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm just going to confess with somebody on YouTube because someone basically was advising against the so-called act of divestment based on what happened to, Miss Robinson. And, I basically agree with it, and I was stating that I agree with that based on the evidence of this case for Sade. And, I'm just kind of stupefied, how somebody could, there are people that's arguing, that's wrong for y'all to say don't date white people. What planet is this? I'm sorry. I just want to, share that. I'm frustrated because, I'm glad it's over and this part is over, the conviction and all that. But, it's not enough in the sense of, he should be, he deserves to feel something equivalent to what Sade felt or whatever. But the fact that there are people, most likely victims of racism, that are saying that they still want to date their white men. Like my grandmother used to say, go on with your bad self, But it's just frustrating. I wanted to ask you, I'm sorry about the noise. My water bottle fell. Drinking water. As far as that tour, do you book it? Is it something you go on, Groupon? That tour you're doing with the Jeffrey Dahmer thing? How do you even do that? It's still shocking to me that that's still a thing or whatever. But, how does a person decide to take the tour de force to see where Jeffrey Dahmer lives, in this day and age?
They have a website, the people that run this tour. I think Netflix, or I think it might be Netflix. They did some sort of special called Dark Tourism, and they included this website. And this was years ago. This isn't like a few months ago thing. So I think that probably helped them get lots of publicity, and it's Dahmer anyway. And then they had the Netflix special. So had the white people kill for fun. So you probably can, if Groupon or whatever, but they have a website. You can just go right to their website, and then it has the whole calendar for the month. And it seems like they generally do them on weekends, it seems. You can just go pick what day you want to take the tour, and it lists, I think on their website, it lists like all the places that they go. It happens in Milwaukee, and it seems like they can't do anything in Milwaukee without beer, apparently even school. So I'm sure you stop at some pubs or taverns along the way. And I think, like I said, even the Ambrosia Chocolate Factory where he worked at, I think that might be in it, or at least where that facility used to be, if it's not there anymore. I think that's a part of it too. But drinks, killing, black people, fun times in Milwaukee. And I don't know where this location is, right? So, and I don't think they have a marker. These dudes down here, they have a bronze Fonz, for all of you old enough to remember Happy Days, or Mr. Winkler, who just did commencement address, I think, at Georgetown, or one of the prestigious universities, not as Fonz as himself, but they have a bronze Fonz statue near the River Walk downtown that I was told, oh man, you got to do the River Walk. I heard that from multiple people. That I guess that's like a tourist, you got to do the River Walk. Go down there, you see old Fonz from Happy Day. You got the reading is more important than watching television. So, but they got the bronze Fonz Jeff Dahmer tour, where you go and can drink liquor or whatever, beer, whatever, and go by the chocolate factory and see where they chopped up the black people.
Hello, are you still there? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Did you hear that? Oh, are you able to hear me, Irie? Oh, am I not? Let's see. Looks like my microphone is still on. Hope I'm still being heard. Hope I didn't get lost. Yeah, it looks like I'm right there. Can you hear me, Irie? Dang. Oh, well. I will. We don't.
I think it broke up for a second.
Oh, okay. It might have been my Wi-Fi, because I was having problems with the audio playing before, so it might have been something with my Wi-Fi. I was just saying that, explaining about that tour. They have the tourist attractions in Milwaukee. Everything includes beer. So we have the Bronze Fonz, and then the Jeff Dahmer tour in Milwaukee. It's Welsing through and through. People with white genetic annihilation would have a bronze version of Fonz, and then Jeff Dahmer at the chocolate factory, like Welsing moment through and through. That's what I was saying, and even the audio was messed up for that. Anywho, were you going to add anything else, Irie?
I was going to ask you, I think I know what you're going to say, but I want to ask her. You're going on a tour during the day, right?
Okay. With the tours, I don't think they have it's not like at the movies, right, where you have 5 or 10 options a day. I think they do one tour per day. I think it's that one tour per day is in the daytime, because I think the tour is an hour or not. It's not like a short thing. It lasts, but I think they just do one tour a day, and I think it is in the daytime, so you can actually go out and take pictures and all that type of a thing. But I'm gonna have to double check to be sure. But my recollection was not that they had it's not. I don't think you could go do this tour at 9 p.m. at night. I don't even think that's an option.
Well, that's basically it. I know you're grown, but Milwaukee is a dank place, and I'm sure everybody is concerned about you. So we just get back to Seattle safely. And last bit of suggestion: sage, sage, sage. Thank you. I'll mute my line.
Amen. I am not grown, privileged black male, but nope, not grown. And I have told people who live here in Milwaukee that I do not mess around after dark in Milwaukee. Like, oh no. Like, I don't even, there's a Trader Joe's right next to my hotel. I don't even go outside at night to go to the Trader Joe's. Like, oh no. I'm going to have to wait and catch that in the morning. Like, it is so dangerous here. Like, man, it is so dangerous. They drive dangerous. Jeff Dahmer, Max Anderson, led in the, I mean, you just go on and on and on and on. It is so dangerous here. And on top of that, I had so many people tell me, man, the police, they are horrible here, like the corruption and all that. But they said, man, they normally don't even do a good job. Like, I'm stunned that they did all this work this time around. They have a reputation. If you want to kill somebody and get away with it, come to Milwaukee, which, incidentally, is a majority black city. I stay in the house once the street lights come on. Any hoodles. Trial is over, so I guess we will not have to do day 10, thank God, of the trial, and maybe we can get back to some semblance of a normal broadcast schedule, even while the remaining time, my remaining time in Milwaukee, winds down. But certainly no trial and no compensatory call in tomorrow. Woof. It has been, even today felt like just a beating. And like I said, we were out of court before 9:30 a.m. And it's not like we heard a whole lot of testimony or rigmarole in the brief time that we were there. It was very short. Got a verdict? Coming in, guilty, 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 right on, sentencing, August 15th, talk to the jury, court dismissed. Like, it was real quick. It was still grueling. Like, man, I sat on those steps. I came back to my hotel room. I looked at some of the pictures of Sade, cried, and went to sleep. Like, I was exhausted. Like, I cannot say enough. Exhausted. Looking at those photos, looking at the impact on her family, as I said, Miss Scarborough, her dad, grandparents, friends, people that were on the search party, all of it. It was excruciating, draining, man. And like I said, a number of people who said they weren't able to sleep, going home and thinking about all of this. Miss Scarborough at the top of the list. I think that was one of the first things she said today. Couldn't sleep last night. Nervous, waiting for all this, hoping that it was going to be over and wouldn't take a long time. So couldn't even sleep last night. She had said that, which I'd heard from many, many people. Like I said, even people who weren't relatives were saying that I did drift off for a little while, but some of them said I woke up at 5 a.m. Couldn't go back to sleep because I was nervous thinking about this. That for 2 weeks, that's what I've been hearing and living. I guess that's one. Probably wouldn't have been that intense and disrupting my sleep if I had just watched this on television as opposed to coming and sitting in the front row with the friends, family, members of the search team for 2 weeks. Very different and substantially more intense experience of all of this. And just, wow, the gravity of this sort of crime. And I cannot say enough, the system of white supremacy, racism, Max Anderson, not ignorant about racism, both in the victim that he chose, the age of the victim, where he burned that car, where he dumped those remains, all of it, that is showing I am informed about the local system of white supremacy racism, and I'm going to use that to my advantage in committing this heinous crime. I just want to say about his, Sade's sister. I think God said before, she just looks so sad. And she, has been there front row throughout all of this, just absolutely devastated as, losing her older sister. And it was a young lady out front. She said, basically she was agreeing like, man, she just looks so sad and about all of this. And she said she saw pictures of Sade's sister before all of this, and then she saw pictures of her and has seen her subsequently, and she said she just had a glow about her. She just seemed so radiant before all of this. Now that is gone. Man, pray for Sade's sister. So, and she's so young, and she's right. I said she's right in the age demographic of her sister. So it's not just I lost my sister. I'm now in the same, age group. I said it was a lot of young black females who live in the Milwaukee region said, that could have been me. That could have been me. And or black mothers that I talked to say, that could have been my daughter. Pray for Sade's sister, mother, entire family, and folks who care about her, because man, that is really, I think Tawanda explained it perfectly, where this is just the beginning, where finally at least we can, that little bit, okay, convicted, still don't even have the remains to do, a complete and proper grieving process, but at least we can, conviction. Now just back to focusing on the person that we miss and have not seen for over a year for no good reason at all. Any hoodles. Unless folks have anything else, sobriety would be best. Can't say it enough. I guess to Irie's point, sobriety would be best. Now, I don't know what people are saying if they, have seen all this. I still think interracial dating is okay and blah, blah, blah. Victims guaranteed qualified. I heard a number of black females at the courthouse say explicitly, no more white boys. That should be the rule. I heard not just one, multiple black females say that this week at the courthouse. Like, nope, that should be the rule. This is absurd. Look at this. Jeff Dahmer and all that. No more white boys. I heard that consistently. Now, there's been a lot of programming. Scandal was very popular, and they've had a number of programs similar to that. Hey, counter racist logic. No sexual activity between white people, non-white people, until the system of white supremacy has been eradicated, replaced with justice. So, just the same thing they told the jury. Evidence, logic, that's what we're supposed to be using. Same thing for counter-racist purposes. So, for Sade, I don't know if I'm going to get all excited about this, interracial dating. I'm going to scrutinize this a little bit more. We definitely can't go do no dating at the bar for Sade. I wouldn't care if I'm 55, 35, 65. We definitely can't do no dating at the bar. No, I need my brain computer working at its best. Got to keep my eyes on you. Make sure you're not going Sade me. No bars. We don't do that. For Sade, we don't do that. We change the way we date for Sade. That's it. We shall not be here tomorrow for the compensatory call-in. No way. recuperation. I hope Miss Scarborough gets lots of rest. She and her sister, like, maybe they can lock the door, turn off the television, and just chill for the whole weekend. Like, man, get some good food, and weather's supposed to be nice. Just relax. Don't drink the tap water. Pray for Sade's sister. Pray for Sade's mother, rest of their family. For Max, general population. Wasted all that time, man. He could have pled guilty, tell how he did all of this, and saved all that time and energy. He wants to come and claim, maybe I can get on court TV. Yeah. Please. We shall return. Keep an eye on the social media, all that good stuff. Glad the sound clips eventually worked. I would have been super disgruntled if I had went through. I didn't even get all my sound clips because I told you I had that longer interview with a white woman during our lunch break on Thursday. It was so long. It was like, 15 minutes. So I didn't want to play that, whole thing yesterday. And then we got the verdict today. But I have to include that as we go because that was so important. And again, the white people are not ignorant about racism. Period. For Sade, sobriety would be best under conditions of white supremacy. Old Max said, hey, let's meet at the bar. Let's go to the Twisted Fisherman. We'll have one or two. Number one, Max, did you know I'm under 21? But even if that wasn't the case, I don't do first dates at no bar. Oh no, that's kind of dangerous. No. You have to go someplace where I can get water. They got that Starbucks next to the police precinct. Let's go there and meet. And what should Irie just say? We don't do the Dharma tour at night. We don't do first dates at night either. Oh no, we can't do no first date. 10 o'clock at that. We might have to. If we do it then, we got to do it in the police station. Got to for Sade, we changed the way we date now. Way different. Lots of conversation, honest conversations. What I say? Hey, trial was only 9 days, really like 8.25 days. You got any children? They got summer break coming up. Oh, we not just gonna be Netflix and chilling all summer, buddy. Oh, especially you got some teens. If I had a teenage daughter who was 16, 17, maybe even 15. Oh, no, you're not going to be sitting home watching TV all summer. I know one thing you're going to do. You're going to watch that trial, Sade C. Robinson murder. Give me a paper on it. We're going to talk and discuss often. For Sade. We shall return. Creator, we ask that you help us remain patient with other black people, victims of white supremacy. Remind us to utilize our time to replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Help us grasp. Until we replace racism with justice, things like this, murder of Sade Robinson, will continue to happen. That's how you get Jeff Dahmer, and now you got Sade's killer. Until we replace white supremacy with justice, things like this will continue to happen. Why is that? Because that's white culture, delectable Negro, human consumption, homoeroticism in U.S. slave culture. That's why. Cow signing out. Thanks all for tuning in. For Sade.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. No problem. You're a victim. Yeah. I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.